There's a guy right now that is being severely underrated, and he's kind of flying under the radar in most mock drafts and by the NFL draft community, generally speaking. And this is a guy that I think is going to end up going a lot higher than where he's being projected right now. Truth be told, he's really not being projected, but we're going to talk about Caleb Banks on this channel. Coming out of Florida, 6'5", 325 pounds, absolutely great pass rush upside. And one of the things that you're going to notice right away watching Caleb Banks tape, which we will watch a little bit later on, is just how well he puts all of it together, right? The hezzy move, the pass rush technique, he has a nice swim move, he clubs people, he double hand swipes people. And he just does a really, really good job on tape, and I think there's a real chance this guy's going to end up becoming one of the better defensive tackles coming out from this class. But let's back up. Let's just talk about Caleb Banks, and let's just talk about what I'm hearing and why I'm kind of making this video talking about this defensive tackle, because generally speaking, I'm not making videos of guys like Mason Graham and only talking about Mason Graham. I'm not making videos of Deone Walker and only talking about Deone Walker. So why am I making a video about Caleb Banks? To me, Caleb Banks is very, very, very underrated. And I actually heard from a solid source, a guy that I trust that's been telling me a lot of different things with a lot of different players. You know, guys like Will Campbell's being valued as a guard, not a tackle. Those are things that the general consensus has not even agreed to yet. But it's something that's a fact by NFL teams. Josh Connerly Jr., if he comes out of Oregon, might be the #1 tackle taken. That's something that NFL teams are thinking, but it's not a general consensus. Caleb Banks is arguably the best defensive tackle. Some people think he is. Some people have a first-round grade on him. That's also not generally accepted, but that's what I'm hearing right now from some people that I trust, right? Guys that are scouts, guys that do this for a living. These are guys that are not paid to put their opinions out there, obviously, right? They're not in the business of making content on YouTube the way I am, so they're not going to put this information out there. And if you guys don't know my background, I work as a scout for the Hula Bowl, also for the Baltimore Lightnings of the IFA, and when I heard this guy is potentially the best tackle coming out this year, I started researching this guy. I went to Twitter, I typed in his name, and I saw absolutely nothing with him. I went and I started searching on Google if there's any scouting reports of him. There's no scouting reports of this kid. Then I went to the tape, and I put the tape on, and I see the upside with this kid, man. A phenomenal football player. And I would make the argument he's definitely the best defensive lineman that Florida has. And I think that's kind of why this guy's flying under the radar. So right away, Caleb Banks has only played like 350 snaps up to this point. It's like 11 games already that's kind of been played. So as a full-time starting defensive tackle, he's only played like 350 snaps. And the reason why is because Florida has a ton of other defensive linemen and guys that are probably going to end up getting drafted as well. They have Tyreek Sapp, who is the nephew of Warren Sapp. They have a guy in Cam Jackson, who I love Cam Jackson. In fact, Cam Jackson was a guy I watched preseason and had a pretty good grade on him as well. And then they had Desmond Watson as well, who's, you know, the guy that's like 450 pounds. He's monster human. People have hyped him up, and he's played a lot as well, right? So right away, Caleb Banks has a lot of other guys on that Florida defensive line. And a lot of those other guys are also kind of splitting snaps with Caleb Banks. So up to this point, Caleb Banks only has 2 sacks, and he only has 4 total quarterback hits. So statistically, it is not great with this kid. But I also want to remind you guys, when Jalen Carter came out, his stats weren't great either. Jalen Carter finished his final year at Georgia with 3 sacks and 5 quarterback hits, which is not very impressive by any means. But we also recognize that with defensive tackles, especially in college, it's very hard to get to the quarterback, since a lot of what college does, from a defensive coaching perspective, right, you want to focus on stopping the run. You're playing light boxes. You're dropping your safeties 25 yards pre-snap. You're dropping them 40 yards post-snap. You know, a lot of what they do in college is different than the NFL. In the NFL, the game's faster, it's tighter, it's quicker. The hash marks are, you know, smaller. So it's just a different game in the NFL. But with Jalen Carter, we had seen that, hey, this guy's a very good pass rusher. He beats people just like that. And we knew that was going to translate, and Jalen Carter's probably the second best defensive tackle already in the NFL. And there's an argument to be made within 2 years he'll be the best in the NFL. Jalen Carter is that type of player. And with Caleb Banks, you see a lot of similarities to Jalen Carter. What you see with this kid is a guy that's a really good pass rusher. Now, he can obviously defend the run as well, right? He's able to hold his own against guys. He tosses people. He's able to hold his own against the run. He does a really good job against the run. But his money is going to be made in pass rushing. So in my opinion, what separates this guy than all the other defensive tackles coming out is going to just be that movement and that pass rush upside. So when you think about a guy like Caleb Banks, right, one of the things he does right away on tape is he moves really, really, really well. He sets up his pass rush in a way that not every single defensive tackle can do. Rather, it's their body just doesn't allow them to move that quickly or that fast. This guy does, right? This guy is able to move. This guy is able to get after the quarterback by just straight up moving, right? Oftentimes he's hitting that hezzy move, right? He's going to lean inside. He's going to quickly jump outside. He's going to lean inside, jump outside to come back inside, right? He's going to fake these offensive linemen out. Right away, he's going to come out. He's going to utilize that hezzy move. The way this guy's able to get out of his stance and just kind of put it all together with that hezzy. And then he has a really, really good club move, double hand swipe, swim, right? Phenomenal swimmer. You see that right on tape right away. This guy's able to, swat arm over the top or just kind of get skinny and get past guys. And to me, that's part of what makes Caleb Banks such a good pass rusher. It's the way he's able to put all these different things together, and you can tell this guy has a legit pass rush plan, which not every single guy does. Not every single defensive lineman out there has a real pass rush plan, but with a guy like Banks, he definitely has that. And it's a part of what makes this kid such a special football player. And I also want to kind of end this video with this. When you think about a guy like Caleb Banks, and you think about where he's being ranked and projected right now, right? At the moment, PFF does not have this guy listed for their mock draft simulator. They have 271 guys on that simulator ranked. You have these other platforms like Bleacher Report. You have these other platforms that are kind of out there. CBS Sports is one that a lot of people use. These guys don't have Caleb Banks ranked, and the reason why is because a lot of these sites out there are not relying on actually watching tape 100% of the time, right? Because there's too many guys to watch, right? Oftentimes what people rely on is for Mel Kiper to put the list out there. And then people start kind of going through that list, and then they start ranking their various guys. Occasionally you'll see, one or two analysts out there that might add one or two other guys in there. But truth be told, there's guys like Elijah Cansey who get no love until, April comes around, and it's because Mel Kiper throws them into one of the mock drafts. We see that happen all the time, right? Darnell Wright got no love. He was a third-round prospect until like 2 months before the draft started. We are still in November, so there's at least 5 months left until the actual draft comes around. But Caleb Banks is going to end up becoming one of those guys that's going to go way higher. His stock's going to rise. He might not actually even come out this year because he is a redshirt junior. But if he does choose to come out, this guy's going to end up being, I think, one of the top 2 or 3 defensive tackles taken. And I also want to just kind of throw this in there. I know people at the Senior Bowl, and the Senior Bowl grades guys based off what the NFL is telling them. They grade also all the eligible guys that are going to come out. And Caleb Banks has a priority grade by the Senior Bowl, right? And there's only like 7-8 guys that essentially are going to be given a priority grade. So right away, that just kind of tells you that, the Senior Bowl, which does it the right way, right? They're not relying on National or Bletz or one of these reports, right, from these popular scouting agencies. The Senior Bowl is going through it themselves. They have multiple people hired, multiple scouts. And the Senior Bowl is giving this guy a very, very high grade for a reason. I think this guy's going to end up becoming one of the best defensive tackles in this class. And I just wanted to make a video talking about him, giving him a little bit of credit. I hope he does come out, but we'll see what ends up happening as we kind of go forward. Let me know what you guys think, man. What are your guys' thoughts on Caleb Banks? If you guys want to watch his tape and don't have access to it, hit me up on Twitter. I will see you guys next time with another video.